Jeff, how much farther is it? We've been driving for almost 2 hours now. This is so stupid. We could have gone bowling or something. Anything would beat all of this pointless driving. It's so hot in your car, no air conditioning, and it looks like it's going to rain. If we all have to roll up the windows, we will smother to death in this slow cooker, Jessica grumbled. Jess, trust me, this will be worth all of the suffering we are currently enduring in this slow cooker, Jeff smirked happily. Jeff, for real, how much longer until we get there? We are all miserable in here, Erin moaned, sweat rolling down her face. Listen, girls, we found this place online. The article made it sound amazing. When we do get there, though, we have to move like ninjas because this place is near someone's house. It said they have cameras all around it, and there are no trespassing signs everywhere, I stated. Great. Smothering to death now and going to jail in... How long before we get there? Jessica sighed as her head dropped on the cracked leather padding on the passenger side door. No more belly aching, you two. This is something none of us will ever forget, I assured. I actually agreed with them about the car. It was a nice day today. The temperature was in the low 80s, slightly overcast skies, and complete with a strange coolness in the air. This car, however, I've never been able to figure out why it is such a heat trap. Even with the windows down in the middle of the coldest winter, it remains scalding hot in here. Jeff, I know at times your idiocy knows no limits. Which brings me to my next question. Is the heater on in here? Erin blurted hastily. No ma'am, it is not, Jeff chirped. Jessica began twisting knobs and punching the buttons on the radio in a frantic attempt to get her mind off of this rolling oven. Her efforts were useless. The radio was like this car in its entirety, barely sticking together. Come on, easy on the radio, it's the original like everything else about my car, Jeff snapped. You know, things need to be updated every now and then, don't you? Jessica quickly responded. It's a classic, Jeff started. Nothing about this old hunk of junk says class anywhere, though it certainly does have a lot of ick going on, Jess snapped. Lay off the car. It's a family heirloom and I'm in the process of restoring it, Jeff mumbled. Maybe you should have restored the air conditioning first, I chuckled. We entered into another town. From the looks of it, a town on its last leg of the final stretch before getting etched on the list of ghost towns. The appearance of the buildings were saddening beyond belief. Brick and mortar places of business could pass for being 100 years old were splattered with various graffiti. Weeds and trees were growing inside, bursting out of the windows, then turning upwards to the heavens.
Random cars were in the poorly maintained parking lots. Most were rusted down and missing vital components required for basic operation. Others, however, were not as bad in appearance, but they still looked to be inoperable nonetheless. I didn't see one single person from the time we passed the first restaurant until we passed the dilapidated "Thanks for visiting Rowena, come back sometime" sign. Okay, you all help me look for Ellis Lane. It should be on up another mile or two and on the right side of the road, Jeff rambled quickly, drumming his fingers frantically on the steering wheel. The farther we traveled, leaving out of this poor town, the fewer buildings we saw. Dark clouds were filling the sky, changing day into night at 1 p.m. that day. Jeff turned on the headlights and the road seemed to narrow in the darkness. Trees began taking on the shapes of claws and wild-looking creatures in the contrast of light and shadows. There it is, Jessica mumbled, in a barely audible whisper. Ellis Lane was painted on the green sign that twisted and waved, as if beckoning us to turn onto the grim single-lane gravel road. Jeff slowed the old car to a weak crawl as it dipped and bobbed along the gnarly path. Archie, where are you guys taking us? If we get stuck out here, I'm so not getting out to push this car, Erin spoke nervously. Should I tell them, Jeff, or do you want to? I chuckled. Maybe we shouldn't say anything. Waiting until the last minute might have a better effect. I don't know, do you want to tell them now? Jeff replied in a peculiar tone. Yeah, I guess waiting would be better, I agreed nervously. Knowing the story, an odd story lacking any fine details, had me a bit nauseous as we inched closer and closer to our destination. The wind had all the trees swaying back and forth, ready to reach out and snatch the old car at any second with each strong gust. Limbs mimicking claws of a cat darted low, far down toward us, then violently snapped back, unsure how dangerous we were. Long, thick vines scattered about them were whisked around in the wind like giant whips. Whoa! I do not remember the article saying anything about this, Jeff shouted hysterically. Back up, doofus! There is no way this car is going through that mud hole, Jessica growled loudly. Is this the end of the road? Erin questioned. No, they didn't. The map didn't show this either, I declared, turning my attention to the large pool of water in the road. Maybe it isn't that deep. I think... I'm thinking we can make it, Jeff rambled, weighing the chances of a successful transition from this side to the other. I guess it could have rained here earlier and caused this section of road to be flooded. This road has been pretty solid with gravel so far. I don't know, man. The call is yours, Jeff. The car is yours after all, I theorized.
Surely it isn't very deep. I mean, we can clearly see the other side, straight across, so it should be level, right? Erin muttered without confidence. You both make a good point. I think that I'm going to try and ease through this. If things get too bad, or if it seems to be pure mud, then I should be able to back out of it. Think that will work, Archie? Jeff decided, certain we could make it. I think so. It's worth a try anyway. We came all this way, so I wouldn't really want to turn back now, I lied, somewhat hoping they would disagree and turn around. This has to be one of the most ignorant things you guys have done, Jessica grunted, shaking her head in dismay. Just remember, I will not push this hunk of junk if we get stuck. You won't have to. I know we can make it across, Jeff gleamed. Moving a few feet into the pool of water, everything seemed okay. The car continued bobbing up and down and rocking side to side as it had since we got on this road. With the water being clear, we could see the gravel road lying underneath. Halfway through this large, shallow puddle, the old car took an aggressive dip. Water poured inside from the rotted door seals, quickly filling the cab up to our laps. What in the world have you got us into? Not pushing this piece of junk if you get us stuck out here, Jessica bellowed angrily. Ew, this water is freezing. It's probably full of weird parasites that are ready to devour us. Oh, this is so gross. Is this muck floating around in here from your nasty car, or has it seeped in with the water? Erin asked, nearly puking. Jeff, just hurry up and get us out of here, I demanded. Roughly, the engine revved higher, making sickening sounds of sputters and sporadic loud pops and bangs. Rocking from side to side due to an increase of the current, we moved along only a tiny amount faster than before. An endless blanket of water rushed over the cab and found new ways to flow inside. Panic overwhelmed us. The girls screamed assumptions of death as the water had filled to our necks, and the old car felt like we were beginning to float. Jeff mashed the gas pedal to the floor, making the rear tires scream like two angry banshees. We aren't going to make it, I yelled in fear as water finished filling the cab. My eyes closed, focusing on holding my breath, and really wishing I had something to bust out a window. Sitting in the back had me trapped. There was no door to open and swim out of, no window to roll down and escape this wretched fish tank. Muffled thumps, bumps, and cracks erupted all around me. I joined in with the others, trying to break the windows before it was too late. The water outside caused too much resistance for our efforts to be of any use, despite being panic-stricken and jacked up on adrenaline. Like a wish being granted, the car managed to bounce one last time as the engine finally blew. This was it. Everything was over. I was going to drown in the nasty water filling the inside of this old car.
A strong, sudden force yanked me over to the driver's side mercilessly. I could feel the cold liquid flowing from around me as it raced from the car. You guys, you all, everyone okay? Jeff asked between coughs. I'm not dead yet, I laughed, trying to appear tough instead of scared to death and back. Seriously, this is the last time I go anywhere with you. Oh, hey, there's a river. I think we need to drive through it. It's only 10 feet deep, but I think we can make it across. Whatever, Jessica spat sarcastically. Yes, you guys have terrible judgment, which is really making me question your trustworthiness, Erin fumed. Okay, so everyone is good. Cold and soaking wet, but good. Since the car is dead, we probably need to find a phone unless one of you happen to have a waterproof case on your cell, Jeff snickered. Where are we going to find a phone at? Erin asked loudly amid the noisy wind, rain, and roaring creek. Well, where we were going is at the very end of this road. Gothic maps showed some other houses through here. I say we just continue on foot until we find one, I replied, on the border of screaming. Fine, let's just find a phone, then find someone to get us out of here, Jessica grunted angrily. Sounds like a plan, let's go, Jeff agreed. Walking along the road 2 by 2, flashes of sharp blue lightning was our only guide. Large loose rocks had us stepping carefully and cautiously, otherwise ankles would be sprained and falls would be had. Trees creaked and moaned as they swayed wildly in the wind. Ice-cold rain droplets fell at warped speed, stinging our bare flesh. This narrow, winding road was thickly lined with various trees on either side. Walking for about an hour on the rough road, a blindingly bright streak of lightning shot down from the sky, inches from our heads. A large, fiery explosion burst from the base of a fully matured maple tree to our left. We froze and watched it shimmy uncontrollably. Flames darted this way, then that, and bounded upward to extinction. Heavy smoke filled the air, distorting our vision as the treetops swayed and shook as if it were human. Snapping, crackling, and popping sounds sent us scattering. It was obviously falling, but the smoke was too dense to see which way the tree was going to come down. As it slammed to the ground, one of the others cried out in agony. "Jeff! Aaron! Jessica! Where are you all?" I demanded. "I can't believe that just happened." Aaron trembled, frozen stiff as a leaf gently tickled her nose in the breeze. "Too close, too stinking close," Jessica mumbled from between two large limbs. "Jeff, you good? Where are you?" I called again. "I'm pretty sure my leg is broken. I'm okay. Go on and get help. Go find a phone and get help," Jeff stammered, trying to stay calm, but he was in pain, almost being on the boundary of a state of shock.
Whoa, just stay here, stay calm. Help will be here as soon as we find a phone, buddy, I blurted, grabbed the girl's hands and headed on up the road as fast as possible. Within minutes, the lightning flashed again, this time revealing an old farmhouse to our right. Rotten white masonite siding wrapped the exterior. Old wooden-framed windows were positioned symmetrically on either corner in the front. An old red front door with a brass snake door knocker stood in the middle. The roof appeared to be mostly made up of moss and leaves. "What is this place?" Jessica inquired, spying odd bones piled up on one side of the house. "I don't know, I hate the color red, so let's hurry and ask if we can use their phone and get on out of here," I grunted nervously. A mixture of water, bits of mud, blades of grass, and a strange bacteria splashed explosively with each step we took across the yard. Flakes of white paint on the porch railing waved at us under the force of the wind. Stepping onto the rotted wood surface, Jessica's hand immediately grasped the brass knocker and banged away. "Anyone home? We need a phone, please. Our friend is hurt and we need to call for an ambulance. Hello, it's an emergency!" Jessica belted hysterically. "Archie, what is that?" Aaron moaned, pointing to the window. "Is someone moving in there?" "I can't tell for sure. It's so dark inside. Looks like they would have something that emits light. Satellite receiver, DVD player, clock, I don't know, just something." "Maybe something is moving," I mumbled. "Jessica!" Aaron panicked. "We need a phone, and I'm sure they have one somewhere in this crappy house. I'm wet, I'm freezing, our car is dead, and I'm ready for the sanctity of my home." Jessica raged as she demolished an old window. "You two coming or not?" "Yeah, I just hope Farmer Bob doesn't shoot us over the window," I blurted as chills rippled over me. "Let's just find a phone, call for help, and get back to Jeff," Aaron encouraged. Once inside, we were like three blind mice. It was too dark to see anything. Usually my eyes adapt, helping to see a little, enough to maneuver without getting fatally wounded in the process. Yet, this was simply too dark, I thought, bumping into an end table and breaking a lamp. "Hello? Anyone home? We need some help!" Jessica called out loudly again. "I don't think anyone lives here. This isn't where you guys were taking us, is it?" Aaron rambled. "No, I don't think so anyway," I said, lacking confidence. "Where or what exactly was the plan for tonight?" Jessica ordered. "We read an article about this Rusty G guy. Something happened to him. The article didn't say what specifically, but hinted at it being unbelievably horrid. He died in his house. It said several people thought it to be a murder. Others suggested a wild animal had gotten a hold of him."
One thing was allegedly agreed upon by all the townsfolk. He remained inside the house. His ghost roamed the homestead, waiting for what or whoever had slain him to return so he could get his vengeance. Stop, is this really a good idea? I mean, there are probably only bedrooms up here, right? Why would they have a phone all the way up here? I feel like I'm stuck in a bad horror film. No joke. I'm getting a weird feeling about this place. Hello? We might find something we can use. Flashlights, a lantern, a CB radio maybe? Turning back around to continue the trek to the top, lightning flashed close by. Vibrant blue light filled the upstairs, throwing the silhouette of a pirate figure in front of Jessica. When she completed turning around, she was face to face with the big boots, long coat, wild-haired figure. Coarse, flaky skin of a charred finger slipped through the air and gently caressed Jessica's left cheek. With the flash of light dying, we couldn't see if the man was still there. Frozen where we were, it wasn't until the next flash of lightning came that we were jolted back to our wits. Brighter and even closer than the last, we could see in clarity the monster before us. clothed in attire resembling a pirate, was a massive man. His hair appeared to have been long, small braids previously. Now, though still long, it looked as if it had encountered a flame, causing the hairs to cling, coil, and melt together for an uncontrollable bushy effect. Jessica screamed in terror, shaking violently and nearly falling. Aaron grabbed her, then me, and pulled us full speed down the stairs. Plowing through random, unseen furniture, I missed our entrance and busted out of a different window. Glass shards sprang outward, providing a bed of pain to catch me. "Archie, get up! We have to hurry! You run track! Me and Jessica cannot keep up with you! Go on ahead! Help Jeff start moving back to the car! It's our only chance!" I hoped that Jessica and I would be able to run straight back to the car in time for all of us to get in and escape together. Aaron looked from me to Jessica, then behind us. The dark figure stood in the doorway, his long duster and matted hair whipped in the heavy wind. I looked back to Aaron. She was gone. Jessica and I ran as fast as we could. Mud splashed higher than our heads as our feet stomped heavily and swiftly to carry us to safety. Taking one last glance at the house, it did not follow.
It stood in the doorway, laughing an evil laugh and watching us as we fled. "Guys, he's stuck. I can't get this tree to budge, and his leg is underneath," Aaron cried, struggling to get Jeff free of the entrapment. "I'll lift, you and Jessica pull him out," I shouted as I slipped and slid in the mud. I grabbed a couple of branches and picked up with all my strength. I could feel my feet sink in the soft wet earth. "It isn't working. I'll help lift, Aaron pull his legs free as soon as we get the tree off of him," Jessica grunted. With her help, along with the slick mud, we raised the tree just enough for Aaron to slip his leg out. I wrapped an arm around Jeff to help him up and Jessica yanked his keys from the lanyard. Aaron and I hurried with Jeff back to the car, and Jessica raced ahead to try, attempting to get it started. Hearing the engine cranking was a blessing even if it was weak. I flung the passenger side door open and Aaron dove into the back seat. "Jeff, stay with me, buddy. I'll get in the back, and you can hop in and shut the door," I blurted out as I dove in right behind Aaron. "Why is this car so hot? It hasn't even been running, and it is cold as Christmas out here," Jessica squawked. "Pump the gas pedal a couple of times, then turn the key over," I said frantically. I knew the dark silhouette had remained in the house, but the events had me rattled. Anywhere far from here is the only place I wanted to be. Several loud thuds from the gas pedal smacking against the floorboard had the engine trying to start. Backfire out of the exhaust had our ears ringing while the cranking motor coughed, sputtered, and shook the whole car. "Give it up already. It's dead and we aren't going anywhere anytime soon," an odd voice spoke from Jeff's mouth as he laid a hand on Jessica's shoulder, a voice not belonging to him. "Jeff? Are you okay?" Aaron asked with a tear rolling down her cheek. Jessica and I looked at him in bewilderment. "Ready for the tale of Rusty G? The story they didn't want you to know," Jeff continued in the unfamiliar tone. "Let's go, proceed on foot," I barely mustered saying loud enough to be a whisper. "This car isn't going to start, and it's too hot to stay inside. Where should I begin?" Jeff went on and laughed the same evil laugh I had heard earlier. The door lock snapped down and the temperature rose even faster. "Wada ya have bones?" a tall slender fellow asked in a gruff voice, stepping from the blinding neon lights of the patrol cars. A fedora sat on his head with a slight tilt and smoke from a big cigar engulfed its rim before drifting up in the air. "I don't know, sir. Kids, I reckon. They must have been trying to cross the old bridge when it collapsed last night. Somehow it appears, they drove out of the river down here," the young officer informed. "Drove out? That's 20 feet deep water in that river. What kinda car were they driving, son? A boat? A hovercraft or whatever those things are called? Looks to me like it was an old Nova. Don't be wasting my time with idiotic theories," the tall man bellowed. "We found tire tracks, both going onto the old wooden bridge, as well as coming up out of the river down here. I state facts, not theories," Detective Q Bones snapped back. "Do we know who they were? Any identification left in this fried hunk of junk?" Detective Q inquired. "We managed to get the VIN number and ran a search. This is what makes this scene even weirder. It belongs to a Jeffrey R. Grumsby. Grumsby detective, like Rusty Grumsby," Bones informed. "What on earth was he doing here?" Detective Q asked shakily with color leaving his face. "Having a reunion? I thought we had taken every precaution about that night, every step possible to assure the name, the tragedy, it all died here, leaving no traceable links to Rusty. Now, his great-grandson wanders up here with 2 other kids. Well, sir, we are still waiting for forensics, but right now we don't think Jeffrey is one of the 3 bodies. He seems to be missing, sir, Bones said quickly. Missing? Do what you want. I'm packing my bags and leaving here tonight. This place is cursed. Has been for decades. I'm tired of fighting to keep wanderers out of here, and now this happens? Nothing good lies ahead for this place. Detective Q blurted out and vanished into the flashing neon lights.